As a performer and as a playwright, Anna Deavere Smith has spent the last 20 years studying the way people communicate. Her work attempts to deconstruct language in order to reveal a person's true identity. Her series of one-woman plays, including Fires in the Mirror and Twilight, have used actual news events to explore the American character. Smith's new project, Talk to Me, takes the form of a book and tackles a new subject, Washington politics. Am I happy to have her back? Talk to Me. Listening Between the Lines, Anna Deavere Smith is the book. Welcome back.
Great to be back.
Great to see you again. As I just said, you know, you were in the movies. I saw, we had Aaron Sorkin here, and so I had to watch the 2 hours and the flashbacks and all of that, and there you were.
Right. Well, it's a great fun. I was in The American President.
I know,
and then
I played press secretary in
Press secretary, and then the National Security
Now, you
Advisor.
could have a full-time career as an actress, couldn't you?
Well, no, I don't think any actress would necessarily say that, because it's, you know, it's chance. It's a cocktail of chance and something else.
You're an entertainer first, not a journalist, right?
Am I an entertainer?
Well, I don't know. What are you?
If you said an entertainer or a journalist, I don't know. I'm an actress. That's a little bit different than an entertainer, don't you think?
No.
I'm a...
You're an auteur? What are you telling me?
No,
you're an artist? You're an artist. That's how you think of yourself.
In quotations.
Come on, that's how you think of yourself.
I'm a seeker of truth.
No, really.
Good truths and bad
but
truths.
That's what good actors do. Seek truth.
I feel I'm in
truth in terms of
my lineage
understanding character, the truth of
character,
the
truth
of human relations, the truth of conduct, the truth of meaning.
Yes.
Right.
So, search for meaning.
Yeah.
So.
But what other than the searcher of truth? How would you characterize yourself? I mean, what's going to be the first line in that?
That thing.
Epitaph, yeah.
Well, if I'm on an airplane.
Creator of characters? If you're on an airplane, what is it going to be?
I never say I'm an actor, because then it's like, what did I see you in? Or, oh, yes, I did.
What do you say?
I say I'm a writer.
I would think so. See, there.
That's what I say when pushed.
Because that's safe or because it's meaningful?
They don't ask many questions.
they don't know from writing, do they?
No.
They
go for acting.
They don't say, what have you written? They probably haven't read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tell me about this. Talk to me.
Well, it was an exciting experience because it's the first-person narrative that I've written. Right. You know, Henry Louis Gates, in one of his many books, suggests that most African Americans come into claiming a space in literature by writing a biography, an autobiography. And I actually, you know, sort of did the opposite, which is I didn't write about myself or talk about myself. I, you know, talk about and act as others, and that's my presentation and not my own voice. So in this book, I take the nose down, and I'm writing with the pronoun I. So it's a different experience, and also that it was my trip to Washington after 20 years of looking for American character, almost, you know, lots of places. I decided that ultimately I have to at least visit the president, and then in looking at him, I realized I knew nothing about him without what the media told me. So this was a 5-year journey to study the press, the presidency, others in Washington, including a prison of women down the road. So it was a prison, a women's prison down the road.
Yeah.
So it was quite a fascinating journey. And that's what Talk to Me represents. Oh, I learned so many things. I learned, I suppose, one idea put forward in the book is that to some extent the language of Washington is in disrepair. Doesn't look like it because we're all, you know, everybody's fixed up and trying to speak in complete sentences, but I think that that's hiding the fact that many people in public life are afraid of what they say, that it might be taken the wrong way, that it might cost them a vote, or even worse, a reputation. People tell me...
Because it is.
Well, it's...
I mean, no, I mean...
You think that's true?
I think they have a reason to be afraid.
Which is what?
That people take it the wrong way. They're scared of how things may be twisted. You know?
Well, twisted is an interesting word.
And opponents do that to them. Media does that to them. You know, along comes someone who can handle it, knows how to, who is without fear, in a sense, or is willing to take it and treat it as it is, you know, and be able to rise above it, through it.
Or to it, to the occasion of it. Right. Well, that's, I think, maybe what we're looking for. I think that's a very hard job. One of the people who, I talked to 425 people on this journey. And one of them,
including the President of the United States,
including the President
twice.
of the United States twice. One of them who sticks with me is David Broder, the Washington Post, who said many, many smart things.
A wise man.
A wise man. Most people told me that the cynicism that pervades our time started with Watergate, but he cites Vietnam.
You know what? I mean, most people, I think it would go back, clearly it goes back to Vietnam.
To Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, I think people think that it began with, most people I know think it began with Vietnam, and that, you know, and then Watergate came along, not that far off, and just, you know, delivered the confirming sense that we can't believe what we're told.
Exactly. Right. And from that point on, language suffers. Whatever comes out of your mouth couldn't possibly be true. So then what happens, I think, is a search for lies, which is different than the search for truth. Puts us in a kind of a spiritual crisis, cynicism.
How about the language of power?
Well, you know, one way I started this whole journey 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago now, was with Shakespeare, my study of Shakespeare in acting school, and some sort of extraordinary things.
He understood power?
He understood everything.
Yes.
And so even the power, so especially if you have to play a powerful person like a queen, you know, you got to deal with this big language, a kind of formalized language, you know, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's very different than getting to play Falstaff or Mistress Quickly or the people who speak in kind of more jazz-like rhythms. And so it's not surprising that when I went to Washington, I did find a more kind of self-conscious talk all the way around of people being very careful about what they said and very conscious of how they appeared when they were saying it. So to me, power has something to do with preservation. I don't think anybody believes they can just sit with power and have power, but there's something about jockeying for it and keeping it and protecting it.
A lot of people have come to write profiles of you and interview you, like I'm doing now, but I mean the people who are going to spend some time with you and really trying to get at the core of you. I'll bet you edit yourself from the moment they sit down and take the pencil out. Edit yourself.
Well, yes, you could say that, or...
Because everybody has an agenda. You want to see a powerful, an interesting, a piece that you think reflects who you are, and you want to say the things that you think and edit what you say in a manner that you think presents that.
Of course, and not unlike what I do in the classroom as a teacher, professor/teacher, is very careful about what I say because I have a very specific amount of time to say it, or as an actress, right? What I do is interview people and then say every and that they say. Very careful to do it exactly as I heard it. I was saying to you earlier that I watched you every single night I was on Broadway. I had right there in my dressing room a television for the specific reason to watch you interviewing Jessye Norman, right?
Yes, but you were there to see Jessye.
But you too. And, you know, it was to get it exactly right. So I'm not proposing that we all go out and just blah, 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 blah.
Language is
the thing. And,
it is
you know,
the thing.
It can be art. Speaking can be an art form. But on the other hand, we live in a really cool time, you know, sort of what I call studied nonchalance.
What do you think Jessye has?
Jessye?
Yes.
In language?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
How about in presence?
Talk to the president about the president, rather. But yeah, I mean, she's an art in language. You know, what you hear in her is everything from Augusta, Georgia, right, all the way through. She doesn't sing in a language that she does not speak.
Right.
So you hear German rhythms, you hear French rhythms, you hear English rhythms, and you hear Wagner, you hear Schubert, you know, you hear all of it right there.
Tell me about the interview with the president.
Well, we spoke twice, once off the record at the Waldorf for an hour.
That's what I want to hear about.
It's off the record. You know that?
That's why I want to hear it.
And then the second time in the Oval Office for 35 minutes, which was very interesting.
So what was the difference in the two?
Just that I had a tape recorder in one of them.
No, but in terms of his manner of speaking, in terms of what he
The
said.
same.
Yeah.
In
So
fact,
did he say anything that it was, when it was off the record, that you think would have embarrassed him or that would have not have been appropriate? Do you think he was more forthcoming? Was he more...
Frankly, no. And in fact, you know, the president has an extraordinary memory. And so in the on-the-record interview, he actually recalled something that he had said to me 8 months before. He said, I told you what so-and-so said. And then he repeated exactly what he had said before. So I think maybe the off-the-record interview was more, maybe it was a chance for us both to,
Relax.
you know, relax. And then the next time I came in with a tape recorder. But I will tell you that I asked him one question.
Yeah.
And that question, I thought I had 10 minutes, and I went for 35 minutes, although there were constant knocks on the door. Mr. President, you have to rest your voice now. And the one question was, Mr. President, do you feel like you're being treated like a common criminal? He was off and running for 35 minutes, basically playing what I would call a kind of saxophone of language, a kind of jazz of language, which sits among the best of the thousands of interviews that I've ever gotten. I'm very surprised that that would happen in that very sacred, you know, that very small space of the Oval Office.
And of that 35 minutes, what was the most memorable part?
The part where he said to me that he said that a Republican senator said to him that he said we were stupid enough to think the press was liberal, and then you got in office and you got so much trouble from the press. He said that the only difference between the Republicans and the press is that he said, this senator said, they vote with you, but they think like us. And the president said, I asked him what he meant. He said, basically, both the Republicans and the press want power, so when you're in, we hit the target. And the president's response to that, he said, now I'm just like one of those old baby Huey dolls you have in your kid. You punch them and they come back up. So I thought that was a very interesting image of himself as kind of one of those baby Huey dolls that you punch them and they come back up. And so that was before Monica Lewinsky, but he certainly has proved that that's the case.
Why do you think you're so good at this? What is it you do that makes people reveal the core?
I don't think they... I do what you do. You know, we listen. You know, we put ourselves in the middle of the world to absorb what's there. You know, we leave what I call our places of safety. We can't control our curiosity. And we stand out there. It's what I think I do, is I just say, look, you know, even with identity politics, I'm not going to sit where you told me to sit. I'd rather stand right out here where there's no seats at all. No seats at all. And I know once I do that, I can't come back to where everyone's seated to gather what I can. And I listen. I love language. I suspect you do also. So just open up my ears, as Eudora Welty, I read one time. She said when she was a little girl, when her relatives would come over, she'd sit outside the door of the dining room, and then her ears would open up like morning glories. So there's a lot you can hear if you want to listen.
What was a moment you said you had when Carson was interviewing Sophia Loren?
Oh, what? That's a great memory of... Well, it was great because that taught me about rhythm, is that the show had a certain rhythm, you know, ba-dum-bum, right? And he had a little present for her. You know, Sophia, this is, I've got a little gift for you. Go ahead. She did not respond. I mean, she's just totally quiet, and you feel this uneasiness. And she simply said, "Shall I put it on?" And he said, yeah, you know, "Shall I open it now?" And he said, yeah, go ahead. Ba-da-da-da. So then she opens it up, and it's this red garter, right? So then, of course, Doc starts the striptease. Shall I put it on? And she takes the garter, and she puts it on so slowly and so really sexily that the music just stopped. And the audience was beside itself with, they didn't know what to do. And it was about, I think, her having the presence. It's back to what you talked about before, of the person who can withstand what's in public. She could withstand all of that to make her statement, which is she's a queen. And even if she's going to put on a red garter, it's going to be done with dignity.
Talk to me, listening between the lines, Anna Deavere Smith. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.